we've got 26,000 people in for a councillor. Surely that has to be our first priority.
Sign of success when people start stealing your ideas.
Why can't we bring immigration down and talk about what impact that's having on our council housing stock? But yeah, it'd be great to see an SDP government with a reform opposition.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's amazing guest is a gentleman I've been chatting to online now for at least 3 years, probably 4 years, but we've never managed to have a face-to-face chat. But here we go. This is it today. Welcome, Wayne Dixon, SDP Councillor for Leeds, to the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we'll get some conversation flowing today.
We will, yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the SDP, I always think of you because I'm not sure how many councillors you've got, things like that. But when I think of the SDP, I think of you and the work you're doing in Leeds. But we're going to get to that. First of all, for people who may not know the SDP or not know what the SDP stands for, let's have a chat about that. What is the SDP? Why is it different? Why should people vote for the SDP?
It's a good question. I mean, let's start by saying I think we're a grassroots movement. We ain't got the publicity that most of the other mainstream parties have got. So I think we do punch above our weight on that sense. Because we're a communitarian party, so we believe, first and foremost, community is important to us. It's funny because Reform nicked our strapline actually, which is your family, community, nation is ours. So obviously they took the nation, changed that to country. We're not bitter about that, of course, but we do have a bit of...
It's a sign of success when people start stealing your ideas.
I'll take that. And I think, yeah, and in a way we kind of acknowledge that. And we're not offended by it. I suppose what we're about just being common sense, really, and just kind of bring a bit of normality into politics, because it's a bit, what's the word? I think most parties are quite progressive now, and I don't think most people are. I think everybody wants to support minorities, support individuals, whatever sexuality, race, whatever. I mean, I think you'll find it hard push to find people who don't want to do that. And I think that we've gone from trying to treat everyone equally now to try and treat minorities with what's the word? Just more, give them more opportunities than everyone else. And I just think it's gone from one extreme to the other. So I think what we're bringing back into the argument is just that bit of common sense and just say, well, actually, where is this treating everybody equal? Why can't we all do it together? But at the same time, why can't we bring immigration down and talk about what impact that's having on our council housing stock and what impact that's having on our welfare state? And I don't think they're unreasonable questions to talk about. So I think as an SDP, we want to talk about them kind of issues, really.
Yeah. Let me jump in there because you missed something there. First of all, what does SDP stand for?
So I think we stand for common sense values, like family and friends, yeah.
Sorry, Wayne. I mean, what do the initials stand for? SDP.
Oh, literally, what does SDP stand for? So Social Democratic Party is it's simple. It is what it says on the tin. Well, we are Social Democrats in terms of, I suppose, if you want to look at a foreign political party to align us to, I'd say we're more like the Danish Social Democrats, and I think everyone in the party would probably agree with that. In the sense we recognise, the nation state is the first and foremost what we want to look after.
Yeah, tell me if I'm wrong here. When I think of the SDP, I think of the Labour Party 30, 40, 50 years ago, as in left wing, but sensible left wing, not crazy, patriotic, for the worker, and trying to build a better nation. Would that be an accurate description?
In my opinion, yes. And I think most of us are on that. I, I mean, I kind of feel like going forward there is a role for our party in politics, and I, I kind of, I kind of dream of the moment that we replace the Labour Party and Reform replace the Conservatives. That's kind of where I think, we need to get to as a country, really, because like the mainstream parties have just let us down, and it's time for us to just shake things up a little bit. Um, and maybe it might come quicker if we can get PR through Dove, like through some coalition or something in future or whatever. But yeah.
I'm not for PR, but I completely agree that I would like to see SDP replace the Labour Party. The Labour Party is not fit for purpose. It was set up 120 years ago, whatever, with a specific purpose. That purpose now, first of all, it's gone. There is the difference now between working class and middle class and the working man. That's all gone. And the Labour Party have gone off an edge. Have gone off the edge of the cliff. They're going far left. And the Tories, the Tories do not conserve anything. I don't know why they call themselves a Conservative Party. They're almost as bad as Labour. 14 years of Tory in this country is almost rock bottom. It's almost failing. Well, we are failing. And that was down to 14 years of Tory rule. The Lib Dems are mental. The Greens are the most dangerous party in the UK. If the Greens got their way, we'd be living in caves, planting our own seeds if we can find them, and starving to death with mass starvation, mass cold. That's the Green Party. We need.
I think, like in sorry about him, but I think in politics in general, I think what we've kind of seen is all political parties just taken over by the middle classes and the working class have kind of been left behind and got disengaged with politics and like left it to those people over there. And I think like what we really need is to say to the people like living on council estates and stuff, actually, politics is for you as well. Like you need to come out and like fight for what you're saying to me on the streets and get involved. And I think in some respects that's kind of what Reform have done. And I say in some respects because I don't I think they've done it from the top down. So I'm pretty sure like there's no key figure in Reform I see that's or I would see as working class. But what I do know, meeting the people at the ground level in me and Leeds, is they are working class people who want to make change for the country. So I think that's kind of the revolution going on. Is like we kind of need that momentum of working class people feeling empowered again and to get into politics and to change it really, because the middle class are in their middle class bubble and often don't really look outside that. And I even count those middle class people who might originally come from like a working class background and kind of look and forget their roots. I think there's less of those middle class people who come from council estates who actually say, actually, that is my roots. I'm really proud of that, and I want to make that better. And yeah, and I think like politics just been taken over by middle classes, a progressive middle class as well. At that in a lot of parties like the Greens and Labour Party, for example. So yeah, sorry.
I agree. If any party was really that bothered about the working class, would have different policies. Would have the end of mass migration, because it's the working class who suffer from mass migration, keeps wages down, and it puts strain on the housing market. That's why housing and rent is so expensive, because something like 18 million people have entered the country in the last 30 years. They've all got to live somewhere. They've got to go to schools. They've got to go to NHS. And it's the working class who can't afford to go private and can't buy themselves out of problem who suffer all the time. And
in Leeds, we've got almost 26,000 people on the waiting list for a council house. And the council still think it's a good idea to be a sanctuary city where we're bringing more like immigrants in from Dover. And it's kind of like, that's all nice and fluffy and lovely, but we've got 26,000 people in for a council house. Surely that has to be our first priority. And and yeah, you just get shouted down when you kind of explain these things, and you're like, well, that's what everyone else is looking at and seeing. We kind of have to take ownership that these people here now are our priority, and we need to really look after those. So yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned Leeds then. So let's get into Leeds because you're the councillor in Leeds. What benefits have you been for the people? The people have voted you now several times now, a few times now. So you're doing something well to be voted in again. What benefits have you helped deliver to that area, and why should more people vote SDP in the local elections? Because of what you can deliver. So sell yourself, basically.
okay. I think what I brought, what the Labour councillors before me didn't bring, was probably a work ethic, um, and a connection to the actual community where I've been born and raised and still live now. And previously, our councillors often lived the opposite end of the city, in the wealthier suburbs, and didn't really understand the area as much as they thought they did. And they had different views. Like I'd say my ward's quite Brexit supporting, where all our previous councillors fought against Brexit. So we have three councillors in our ward, and all three were campaigning against Brexit when most of the area was for Brexit. So it was just that disconnect from what everyone else believed and what they believed. And I think it took me I think it was the fifth time I got elected after 5 elections. And I think it took that long because it was people like, but we've always trusted Labour. And it was that reluctance to actually realise they're not what they used to be. And then, and obviously, I had that connection with the community where I've been brought up and I know people. And I did what I promised. If I said to people, I'm going to get that fly tipping removed, I got that fly tipping removed. You know, and I've kind of run on that philosophy since I got elected. That like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and if I can't do it, I'll tell you exactly what my barriers are. I'm not being able to do that, so that people are informed on the reasonings behind stuff, and they can agree or disagree. But what they'll know is I've given 110% to do what I can do. And I think that's kind of what I offer, is that like that determination to improve things for where I live as well, like, and for my own family. And so, I mean, my gran's 81, and she's probably the one who gives out my number the most, like, and I'm not going to argue with her. So, and since then we got Emma and we got Rob elected alongside me. We've taken over the ward, got all three councillors now.
Excellent.
And we've got a good team and we work well together. We have a WhatsApp group. I was going to pick this up. Yeah, you do that, I'll do this. And it works really well. And first and foremost, like, we're very like probably local centrist. Like, some of the examples of a lot of stuff what we're getting commissioned from local charities was youth work, for example, but then there'd be minibusing the kids out of our area, and we were like, well, we're not going to fund that because why can't you do the work here with the kids in their own community? And it was like, it just because it was convenient for them to ferry them out, that's what they did. And we was like, no, we want the work doing here where they live. And I think we unsettled a lot of like charities what were that used to just filling forms in and getting money. But we kind of made the point of like, this is what we want for our area. We don't want like the way it's been done because it hasn't worked. So yeah, so we had a bit of resistance at first from people who felt that we were changing things and we shouldn't be. But I think slowly people are coming round to our way of thinking and actually realizing we're not the mad racist xenophobes that we're being painted to be. And actually we're just general, normal, everyday people who want to make change for where they live.
Yeah, I mean, we're in some sort of unreality now where members of the SDP are called racist and xenophobes. I mean, if you guys can be called racist and xenophobe, that means everybody's a racist, everybody's a xenophobe. It's just crazy how this argument is just gone out through our societies.
I'll give you one great example. So when so I got elected, and then the year after, Emma got elected. So, and during Emma's campaign, I got a phone call from a local who I'd supported with her housing problems, and she says, "Wayne, I'm disgusted what I've just heard on the doorstep." And a Labour activist told her that we hate gay people, and we will do anything to ban gay marriage and and all of which are not SDP policy, and then she said turned him away because she said, well, actually, Wayne's helped me and my partner. It was a female couple, like, and then they were just like, "You're wrong about him, like, totally wrong." And so she rang me and she said, "I'm disgusted they'd even say that about you, and you've got my vote." 100% now, like more than ever. And it was quite nice to actually think actually people have got our back, people who stand for like, and they stood a trans candidate against Emma just to make a point because apparently we were transphobic because we believe in sex-based rights. Um and it was just like, wow, that they just used the person to make a statement. And it's kind of like, if that's not using somebody, what is? And it's quite disgusting the lengths they'll go to really to try and like muddy your name. But unfortunately for them, both me and Emma were born and bred in the area. We're really well known. Emma's run community centres and stuff like that. And then when it came to Rob, they just gave up. They just kind of like left us to it really. So because they kind of realised it was over.
Yeah, I mean, politics is very dirty. So, many political parties and many activists are going around lying about their opponents. I hope that I would never be so low to do that, but people are tempted, by trying to discredit their opponents. It's human nature to create those rumors and try to win. So there's 3 SDP councillors now in Leeds. So you've got all 3 in your ward. Is there any more in other wards?
No, but we've just got parish councils and town councillors scattered all over the place. But yeah, we're the only city councillors.
Yeah, and I'm presuming when local elections come back up again, you'll be fielding other candidates in other neighbouring wards.
Yeah, so like we tend to pool all our resources to be honest and try and hit one area and work out on that. So like we've got a next target seat. We've got a really good candidate who works really hard for a community. And she's a bit intimidating to me because she's smarter than me. But yeah, she's a really good candidate, and we'll all be putting our weight behind her. Plus, I'll be up for re-election as well. So we've got it all going on next time round in 2026. So we've no election this year. We have regional branches in SDP, and our Yorkshire branch at the minute only has the elections in Doncaster this year. So yeah, got a lot to do. I've got a bit of a chill out here.
Yeah. It's a year off.
Some by-elections appear, but yeah. So
my last question would be: at the end of your political career, regardless of what happens and where you go and what you do, at the end of it, when you're on your deathbed, and your grandchildren and great grandchildren are saying to you, "What did you achieve as an SDP candidate? What did you do to improve Leeds, Grandad?" What's the one thing you can think of at the moment that you can say, "I did this"?
I think the thing I've probably done for Leeds, especially Middleton and Blau, which I represent, is allow people's voices to be heard and just fight back a little bit on what the mainstream media see as all our views, and actually show there is other views out there. And I've fought for what people want. Sometimes I've been successful, sometimes I haven't. I've tried to clean the area up really well, and I think I've done that. Fly tipping was like absolutely atrocious in our area before, and fought for services for people, trying to create more community service centres and stuff like that to get people more services. But I've also, like, I think one of the key things I can say to my grandkids is I got people together in a room. for example, I have regular meetings with all the food provision in the area, and we meet to talk about like who's actually like trying to take advantage of this, and but also who needs more, do you know? And then we're meeting regular with ed teachers to try and look at like what issues are getting flagged up with schools, and just connecting people like police with those type of meetings as well, so they can deal with like parking issues and stuff like that. There might be little things, but the little things I think impact people's lives every day. And if you can remove a few of those little things, then you just make everybody's life a little bit easier. And so what I would say to my grandkids, I guess, is like what I did is I made people have an easier life by removing those little things what will used to annoy everybody and irritate everybody on a day-to-day basis. And bit by bit, I'll keep chipping away at them over the years, and eventually, we'll get there. Hopefully, obviously, we need an SDP government to provide all the things we need. Of course, I'm going to say that, but yeah, it'd be great to see an SDP government with a reform opposition.
So you're concentrating on what we would call quality of life issues, because I've knocked on when I worked for Manchester Council, I knocked on thousands of doors speaking to residents about what they wanted in their area, what were their problems, and it was always low-level antisocial behaviour. It was always dog poo, kids hanging around, graffiti, and fly tipping. They were the four issues that I could guarantee every house would say two or three of those issues were their main issues. Nobody ever talks about bank robbery. No one ever talked about all the other big issues in the country. No, it was small local issues that
Quad bikes and motorbikes where we are.
Yeah, motorbikes, yeah, those off-road illegal bikes. It was those things that were destroying people's quality of life. And if you can fix them and reduce them, then those people never forget. So I think you're on the right track there.
And one of my other passions is like we have quite high childhood obesity rates in my area. So I'm passionate about like children and young people playing sports. Like I the amount of support we throw at the local football club is, it is never been done by any other council before. We we support the local rugby clubs just as much. We we the sport, and I also think like people forget sports clubs are not just sports clubs, right? It's not just about playing football or rugby or cricket. It's it's about bringing communities together and bringing people together, and like that beer in the bar afterwards, and that chat, and just understanding what the issues are, in people's lives, and just somewhere just to let go a little bit and build those community connections. Like, I don't know, I haven't got a job, or I've got a job at our place, mate. Why did it come down? Those the people forget that kind of social aspect to sports clubs, and I think that's quite massive as well. Similar to pubs, obviously we kill those pubs off in most of the country now, but yeah.
Yeah, I think a problem we've got across the country is loneliness. And if those clubs can bring people together to socialize, to belong to something, then they may not have family local, they may not have any family anyway. But if you belong to a club, then that's your new family. And we forget sometimes that we're social creatures. We need to be around other people. We need to be talking to people, communicating, sharing. That's what we'll be designed to do. And when we don't do it, that's why we become depressed, anxious. That's why we're on antidepressants, because we're not fulfilling what we need, which is socialization.
Yeah. And yeah, and like that's in the long run that saves the country money, doesn't it? Because if you haven't got that pressure on NHS, that's where money saving is.
Yep, it is. Wayne, thank you for coming along. I recommend everybody in Leeds to vote for you in SDP at the next election next year. We need more councillors like you. We need local people in local areas sorting out local issues and being answerable to the people. And that's what we need. That's how we start saving this country. So thanks for coming on. And hopefully next time we chat, it might be physically face to face.
Yeah, hopefully. Buy each other a beer, I'm sure. Yeah. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.